Hey y'all, it's Melanie coming at you with some Omega energy. I thought it'd be prudent to come back on here today because I've been feeling lovely as it pertains to this here process. One of the things that I think that I've been derelict in as of late is explaining or either processing what do you do when you are a warrior in a garden. Do you choose to be a gardener in a war? Now, I got that quote from, I think it's Bruce Lee, but I'm not 100% certain. It's like, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Now, there are times where I don't want to be that. I just want to be a gardener. I just want to just tend my little fields and be at peace. But we all got to be understanding, especially myself, if I'm just speaking for me. But if somebody else resonates, I don't mind. There are times in which no matter how peaceful you are or attend to yourself and try to be, there's always going to be some folks who think they deserve what you got or want what you got or want to pick and choose when they want to poke at you and whatnot. And I'm not immune to this, okay? I'm sure most good people out there ain't either. One of the things that I think did me a disservice, and I'm learning through trial and error just like everybody else in this here life, is that those who harm us, do us wrong, blah, 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 they always, for me, have some reason why they're doing what they're doing. I always try to see the why in it all, and which is, I think, makes it prudent for you to understand that when you do act, it is justified. But first, you have to go sit down with yourself and figure out where your stuff at and where they stuff at and what makes sense. And what I mean by that is, if you get into a clash with someone, now let's talk about this from all the context, from the 3D and above, from the spiritual to the physical, and in between. You got into that clash either during understanding, a misunderstanding, or because one person just felt like being contrary that day. It's usually not that complicated, okay? Now, given all that, it's still prudent, and in my experience, and you know how I say on here, what I say is a suggestion. It could be objective or subjective, depending upon your own reality, which is just as valid as mine. Okay? But there are times in which you sit with yourself and sit with the terms and sit with the ideas. If you do that, you can take the time to do several things. One of which is heal. Second of which, examine your own faults and behaviors. Figure out what you want to change, and then proceed. Now, does that mean or guarantee any other parties is going to do that? No. I can tell you as living proof they won't. They're gonna keep coming at you the longer you have breath in your body some more. That's been my experience. What you do in those situations is what I've always advised. Back away whenever you can back away. Do what you can do when you can do something. But always remember that there's sometimes casualties in those situations in which the innocent bystander or someone who just happens to be present is in some way affected, impacted in a way that is not something that they bargained for or wanted. Which case, you have some amends to make too. You have to figure out how to restructure how you do things so that that doesn't occur or is minimized. Guess what? There's some folks out there that's so hurt and bothered and unhealed or whatever it is. Maybe they are healed and they just choose that. They do not care at all about who is struck, hurt, or any of that. They just do what they do because they feel like I can do it, so what? And this is what I call bullies. And this is why I say I am absolutely proud of it now. There are times where I've been like, girl, go sit down somewhere and heal. Why are you doing that? But I still feel it. I feel it down deep into my bones. But there also must be people within our society, if it would be just, that are perfectly capable and okay with being a point of order. If it be so inclined, I choose to do that. I choose to do that often. I've chosen to do that often in my life. I'll give you a few instances. And they're not in chronological order, just random, whatever pops in my head. So this is one time I was on this committee. It had to do with government. And folks didn't like that I was outspoken about a certain problem that was going down, which is with some of the spouses were moving from place to place and losing money, losing time, losing college credits, blah, blah, blah. And I was outspoken about this, but it feels like that's been a problem for a long time. We don't have time to solve that. I said, well, I got time. I'm going to make time to solve it. Because it not just impacts me, it impacts every single woman that I've encountered or a spouse that I've encountered that wants to in some way have something for themselves. And, not everybody was on board with that. And then I was labeled a troublemaker, which tends to happen whenever I speak up or speak out about something. I'm labeled a troublemaker, and it does bother me, it does worry me, it does concern me, but rarely ever does it ever stop me. So I just kept on going, and I still respected the chain of command in my situation. And still went through and did what I needed to do. Excuse me, y'all, I'm close to a base and there's a lot of air traffic, if y'all hear that in the background. Anyway, so I went ahead and went up through the chain and talked to somebody who would listen. They said, go on ahead. I don't have the time to help you, but go on ahead and do what you're gonna do. None of the people who were naysayers, and even the people who was like, yeah, it needs to be done, but none of us got time to do it. And even the ones who labeled me at that particular time as a troublemaker, none of them wanted to do anything about the problem. They didn't think the problem could be solved without laws being enacted. Well, yours truly decided to continue to be the troublemaker that I am naturally in, and kept doing what I needed to do, and I sat down and wrote. See, that's a way, unless you are just entitled to what you think makes you magic and special and it's all for you. That's a way in which you can use that for good or use that for balance and use that to help others. And I understood my assignment a long time ago. So even though I could label the troublemaker from time to time, I know what I know and I do what I do. So I did what I needed to do and I wrote. And then I got a law made that changed things, that made it impossible, or at least less possible, for folks to suffer under those things. I ain't had my name on it or nothing. But I got a law made. It got it all the way to the desk of the president. But after that, a whole bunch of people did not super care for my presence because I did something that they chose not to do for a very long time. And when they chose not to do that for a very long time, whenever you speak out or whenever you go above and beyond or go outside the norm of what's going on, what people tend to do is even though it's something that was needed or maybe have a positive effect and change on folks, they tend to not be happy with you because you make them look bad. And that wasn't the goal, but if you feel bad, you look bad, that ain't my problem. And that's how I feel about this here, being a warrior in the garden. See, my aim and goal was to create some semblance of balance between families in that particular branch of government. But in the end, they got something they needed. And I got pissed upon from a very great height after that. I tend to have that result sometimes. But you know what? I used to get so mad about that all the time. Because it's like, I did a thing that helped people. Why are you pissing upon me from a great height? And I sit there and complain and whine and moan. I don't do that no more because I understand the training I was under. I've been doing this since I was quite small. This is a random memory that don't have nothing to do with this, but I'm just going to tell it to y'all. I digress sometimes. I do apologize. Please forgive me. When I figured out there was something different about me, it was something very innocuous. I was very young. I was in grade school, probably first grade, second grade, something like that. So to make me about 7, 8, something like that. And it had this jar of jelly beans, and it was thousands, well, a little over 1,000 in one and close to 2,000 in another. And we were given prizes because it was close to Easter. And for some reason, I was in a class full of all the grades classes were together trying to guess the amount. Whoever got the closest was going to get the prize. I didn't know at the time I was cheating, but I was cheating. I saw the number clear as day in my head. I let everybody guess first because I wasn't sure what it was I was hearing or seeing. At which time I guessed both jars, and they refused to give me both prizes. They were trying to figure out how I could know. Did I cheat? Did I look? Did I see the number somewhere? But then they determined there was no way I could see those numbers, and I got the prize. That was the first day I knew something was different, and I've been building ever since then on figuring out what it is that was different about me and figuring out how to use it well to my advantage and to the advantage of others around me. And I have, for the most part. Now, there are times where I've slipped, and there's times where I've done things that are uniquely human, and I'm okay with it. I'm totally okay with it. I guess I'm saying this to you because, I know I'm saying this to you because there's some of y'all out there that I've met or encountered or may have yet to meet that might feel some self-doubt in your assessment of self, because I've done it from time to time, especially at those times when I was uniquely human. And I'm like, oh, well, I may not be what I think I am, but why do I have this? Why do I have these abilities? Why I'm able to do these things? It must be for a purpose. And I examined my entire life. Yes, I did. I had to do it every single time I'm down and I'm weary. I say, if I look at the totality of my life, what have I done with it? And I saw those things to be good. And I say, damn it! I'm back on track again. And it gets me back on track every single time. Now, there's some folks, I told you, that will always see you in the framework of their own reality, and their reality is just as valid as yours. When the realities meet, and they decide it's time for them to disrupt your reality because their reality is this and that's their truth, then that's the time where you have to decide if you're going to keep on guarding or not, or if you're going to pick up a sword. Now, you don't have to literally get violent, and I don't advocate for that. Unless you're in a unique amount of danger. That means physical danger is imminent. Outside of that, no necesito. But I do encourage you to always voice your opinion about how you feel with those who matter and circumstances that matter. Because there are times I've not done that because of what I said earlier. I always see the other person's point of view before my own. Because I've understood there's something different about me that I have that others may not have the ability to access just yet, or ability to access right now in this life. I don't know. I've tried and wrapped my head against the wall many times trying to understand it. And I've chosen to understand me. And that was a more fruitful endeavor. Just trying to understand everybody else was just, spinning me around. But just because they are smaller than me, spiritually, energetically, doesn't mean it's okay for them to just keep hitting me and me just like, okay, they don't know what they're doing. Let me just back away. Now, most of the time, I do advocate for y'all doing that, and I do that. I told you, I don't like to fight. I'm cute. I want to stay cute. But I can be cute and pick up my sword sometimes, just like you can. If you feel like you've been backed into a corner because somebody decided to back you into a corner, then it's probably about time for you to fight your way out that corner so you can go back to your garden. Now, my guy's been telling me this. I'm like, no, I don't know. I don't fight. I don't do all that. But I can fight my way. I choose to fight fair. I choose not to be dirty and undercutting if I ain't got to be. But we're all capable of it. I know I am. I demonstrated on at least one occasion that I absolutely am. But I like to think I would never do that unprovoked. But that's just my own personal bias. Now, that aside, I've been asked to dance on several occasions. When I say dance, I think y'all need to understand or know that that's a metaphor for getting knuck every buck. And I'm just like, okay, I'll tap you just so you can understand. Look, you don't want the smoke. I want to go to my garden. I just want my little garden. Just leave me alone in my garden. And you know, some folks, they'll come in that garden and say, let's dance. Anyway, I told you I want you to dance, punk. Yeah, over and over and over again. I'm like, I'm not a punk. I don't enjoy violence if I don't have to. I don't enjoy giving stress where maybe healing can happen. But here's the thing about it. I got to a point, especially more recently, I'm like, okay, so y'all done hit me, y'all done thrown stuff at me, y'all done hurt innocent people around me, and I said nothing. I did nothing. Okay, let me go back to my garden. Y'all satisfied? They still wasn't satisfied, y'all. They still had to go and do more stuff. I'm not going to even tell y'all what they did because that's not even what this is about. Because the last thing I want, somebody pitying me. No. And I also don't need any aid or assistance in anyone coming to fight on my behalf. If someone want to fight beside me, they got to volunteer for that there. I'm not going to give them no reason. Okay? Because even though I prefer gardening, being a warrior is what I am. Being a weapon is what I am. I know this. I finally made peace with it. I'm cool with it. But because I am naturally a gardener, there are some times, and you might resonate with this too, where folks will take you for play because they're like, oh, she being kind and she wilting away. She's standing back when we asked her to dance. But then there are other times when it gets to be much and I'm in a corner, or I've seen too much now. I'm like, okay, now you've gone too far. And this is where karma and dharma can come in too. And y'all don't have to believe this part. Y'all can just take it on board and feel like how you feel about it. Karma doesn't just come from the things you do to wrong others. This has been my knowledge and experience. Karma also comes from the things that you don't fight back on when you should. Think about it for a second. On the real world 3D situations, how many instances in your life in which you wish you would have fought back and done something differently that haunts you still? Yeah, that's the most instant karma you're going to get. Think about it. And you don't even have to call it karma. You can just say, I love me enough to say, okay, y'all went too far. I love me. I deserve protection. And I'm going to go ahead and pick up this sword. So you know what happens next whenever something like that goes down? Evaluate everything. See where you have culpability and responsibility and heal that part. And whatever's left, go cut the grass. I don't know about nobody else's grandma, but my grandma used to tell me my ass was grass sometimes. And then, for me, I would say, well, since you asked so politely, let's dance. Anyway, y'all are loved.